Hey folks, this is Vince with Dad's Gaming Addiction, and welcome to another episode of Dad on a Budget. Today we'll be looking at City Skylines. This game was first released in 2015, though there were plenty of DLCs released after that. This is a city builder simulation similar to that of SimCity. You can find the base game for about $30. It's a single player experience, and I personally have about 84.4 hours on record as of the date of this particular recording. So, what do you do in City Skylines? Well, what I do is I manage a budget. That's my favorite part, just because as someone with an accounting background, I love to manage money, I love simulations, I love trying to create a business and make it work. There's also a design aspect of this game, mainly in terms of transit. I know a lot of you think that city builders are all about building cities, but not really. A lot of city builders are more traffic simulators than anything else, but I'll get to that a little bit later. But in this game, you're going to be building a city, you're going to be designing cities, you're going to be managing a transit system, whether it be roads or rails, airplanes, seaports, whatever. But there's also some extra mass transit options that you'll have access to in various DLC. You'll be plopping down residential, commercial, industrial zones. You'll be able to put down things like city services, medical facilities, fire stations, everything that you would expect to do in a city builder. So, what do I like about City Skylines? Well, I think the game as a whole is an excellent value for the money. But there's a small caveat to that, which I'll get to a little bit later. The reason why I say it's a good value for the money is because a single playthrough can last anywhere from 5 to 50 plus hours. I mean, if you're in the mood to really sit down and work on a city, you can do that. You're going to possibly spend months trying to fine-tune roads, trying to fine-tune zones, trying to manage, okay, these people are educated over here. You're realizing that these people aren't educated, but that's for a reason, because these low-end industrial zones need uneducated workers in order to operate. You'll be managing the painting of various districts, and these districts can specialize in different things like logging camps or farming. And that's just the base game. Okay, there's a lot more to do once you invest in the DLCs. But long story short, there's a great value for your money here. The core game is also relatively user-friendly. It's very easy to put down residential zones, commercial zones, industrial zones. It's very easy to look at the RCI meter, which is something that I'm used to from SimCity. The RCI meter is it's just a way to manage whether or not, or just to see whether or not you need more residential, more commercial, and more industrial zones. If the bar for residential is high, then that's an indication that you need to build more residential zones. This is something that SimCity has been doing for a very long time. And I do like the fact that City Skylines kept with the similar color scheme. In SimCity, it was green was residential, blue was commercial, yellow was industrial. Same thing here, there's no confusion. So I really like that. The core game is relatively user-friendly. The level up style of gameplay, I like that as well. You can play the game in sandbox mode if you want, meaning that everything is unlocked. It's available to you. You don't have to worry about leveling up. But if you want to play the game the normal way, you'll start off with a very few set of buildings, and building types, I should say. I mean, you can still put down your zones fine, but you only have access to maybe a standard road. There are over 20 plus different roads in the game, whether it be highways or on-ramps, avenues, 2-lane, 3-lane, regular roads with trees on the sides, different things like that. But you won't have access to all these things right out of the gate. In order to level up, you have to get more people to move into your city, and your population will determine your leveling. So the more population that moves into your city, the greater the title of your city, whether it be village or town or metropolis, whatever. The larger you make your city, the more things you unlock. And I really like those population milestones, if you will. But like I said, there's a sandbox, there's an editor, should you want to create your own map. There's also community workshop and mod support. So this game has a huge backing. I mean, you can go on the Steam Workshop and just download different things, try them out, and see if they suit your fancy. You can also change the look of the buildings, too. I think there's a default European-style building structure that you can enable, but if you don't like that, like I said, the Steam Workshop may have other things available to you. One thing that I like also is the ability to expand your land. You start off with just a standard square, and you can build on this square. But as you level up and reach those population milestones that I was talking about, you'll be able to unlock different pieces of land, and then you can build on them. And it's going to be a lot of land that you'll be able to unlock. So you have a huge array of land to mess around with. Unlike SimCity 5, which when it first started out, each piece of land that you had was a very small square, and that was it. Once you were done with that, you had to move on to like the world map and then zoom into something else. I found that to be rather limiting. It's also fun to watch City Skylines. Just sit back and watch the cars, watch the police, watch the fire engines just drive around doing their thing. Yes, you'll run into instances where cars will collide with each other and just sort of pass through each other, but for the most part, each car, each person in this game has their own agenda, and you can click on them to find out what they're doing. You can find out if they're going to work, if they're stuck in traffic somewhere, and etc. So all of those things really add to the appeal of the game. Now, one thing that I dislike, and there's going to be quite a bit of these, some of the DLC mechanics are not very user-friendly, in my opinion. Most notably, the placement of the more advanced districts. Like, you've got amusement parks that you can set up, getting your industry set up, painting specific district types for said industries, and so on. Trying to figure out how the amusement parks and the regular parks and all of the different terrain types, how they all interact and how you're supposed to put them down, can be confusing for a new player, and I don't think it's explained well enough in my opinion. Now, I know how they work, obviously, but I'm just saying it's for a new player or someone that hasn't played it in a while, trying to get the district type to get set up in the first place, that can, take some trial and error. Maybe you have to might look it up. One of my biggest complaints about the game is that the DLC, and there's a lot of it, is rather expensive. Again, the core game does give you a good value for your money, but if you want to buy into all the different DLC that's available, you'll have to drop a total of $185.78, and that's to date. There may be more expansions coming, I don't know. But if you want to buy all the different DLCs that are out there on the Steam store page, it'll set you back $185.78. And I think that's a bit outrageous. Part of me is like, you know what, it's good content. A lot of it is good content. It adds more to the game, so yes, you should support the developers. But it's just for people that live paycheck to paycheck, that want to experience this game in all its glory. $185 is a lot to ask for. It would have been nice to drop maybe $50 to see all the different stuff, but I don't know, $185. Now, to be fair, you don't need all of it. There are some DLCs that are just like radio stations, so if you don't really care about the in-game music, you can bypass those. The ones that I would recommend that add the most bang for your buck, I would recommend the mass transit and the industries to start. There's a mass transit DLC and an industries DLC. The mass transit adds different ways to get around, which is good because the core game suffers from lack of transportation options, whereas the mass transit DLC will add different ways to help your people move around your cities. And then the industries adds production chains, which is really cool. Now, we're not talking like Caesar, style gameplay where you've got A leads to B, leads to C, leads to D to E, and then A and B leads to... No, it's not that crazy. You still are, though, are creating like crops or growing crops and transporting that to storage and then refining that and then exporting it. There is a small bit of production chaining going on, but it's not as complex as it sounds. Snowfall is okay. It offers something unique. It's a snow set of snow maps where you have to heat pipes, plow snow, and so on. Park Life, Campus, and After Dark, and a couple of others will add some extra content and district types. So my advice is to start with those. I wish there were more building varieties. Yes, you can go on the Steam Workshop and download different varieties and different skins, but I got tired of seeing hundreds of donut vehicles driving around or the same type of commercial building. I long for the days of SimCity Societies, which was released back in 2007. Each building was unique and different and had different things going on with it. Here, it's just, you see one donut shop, oh, there's another donut shop, oh, there's another donut shop, or whatever, It's just, I wish there was more variety of building types. I also miss regional play from the later SimCity games. In SimCities 4 and 5, you could go out to this world map and then plop down next to the area that you were just in, and then connect the two maps, and then even charge people tolls or whatnot. So, I mean, there are ways to connect cities. SimCity 5 even had like, oh, I can transport ore from here over to this city or whatnot. You can't do that here, but again, the maps are fairly big once you unlock the different land squares. And as I was saying earlier, this game can feel more like a traffic simulator as opposed to an actual city builder, but it's actually fun. I enjoy the challenge. There are some DLCs that will combat it. Like I said, the mass transit DLC mainly. And one thing that bums me a little bit, there are no toll booths. No toll booths. That's something that I really loved in SimCity. I think it was 4 or 5. And I plopped down like 10 of them in a row. Yeah, it made the people angry, but I earned a crap ton of money doing it. So toll booths, just a little thing. These are little things, mind you, but they really were enjoyable things to mess around with in SimCity, and I miss that here. Now, to be fair, there may be a mod for it that I just simply don't know about, but yeah, there was no toll booths in the vanilla game. Okay, so with all of that being said, do I recommend this game? Let's dive into it, shall we? So, first of all, we have to consider that there's not a whole lot of other choices out on the market, at least not quality ones. Yes, there's SimCity 5, but that was released back in 2013. SimCity 3, SimCity 4 released earlier than that, and they're fairly competent and fairly good, but they're older and may not work on newer machines. SimCity Societies, another quality game that I really enjoyed playing, kind of struggles on newer systems. You will get, on occasion, a semi-competent city builder that an indie developer has made. However, nothing that I have seen so far matches the depth and the size and the scope of City Skylines. So, as of right now, there's not a whole lot of competition out on the market. So, obviously, it's the go-to game. My problem is with the DLC price structure. Yes, I will admit, they add a lot of content to the game, and yes, I believe that the developers should be paid for said extra content, but $185 as of today's date is kind of much for all of the different DLCs out there. Paradox Interactive is known for this. That's the publisher behind this game, and behind like Stellaris and some of their other games, and there's a lot of DLC on those other games as well. So this is something that Paradox Interactive is used to doing, and I don't agree with any of its practices regarding its DLC price structure. I think it's nickel and diming unnecessarily. I want to stress that I do believe that developers should be supported for the extra content that they make, but $185 for the average consumer to get all of the content that was released for this game is kind of outrageous, in my opinion. So like I said earlier, I would recommend maybe one or two DLCs and then slowly add to your collection over time if you live paycheck to paycheck like I do. I will give the game a lot of benefit, and I do want to praise it for its workshop and its mod support. I think that's a huge plus. Adding that to the game adds a lot more content that way, which is probably free. Some of it's paid, but a lot of the user stuff is free. With all of that in mind, I still think that City Skylines is pretty darn good for what it is. But again, I have to stress that the name of this review series is Dad on a Budget. So, do I recommend it or not? I want to say yes, but wait for a sale. I do like City Skylines. I do believe it's worth buying. But if you're going to buy everything, all the DLCs, or some of them, I would wait for a sale when the game is more affordable. The game is great. It's fantastic. It's fun to watch. There's a lot of content there, especially as you buy into more of the DLCs, but the pricing structure is the only thing that would give me pause. And to that end, like I said, I would wait for everything to go on sale. And to be fair, it does quite often. Just wait for the winter sale or the summer sale, the spring sale. Whatever sale Steam is having, more than likely City Skylines is going to be featured on it in some way. So if you were on the fence as to whether or not you should buy this, I would say buy the core game and wait for a sale, or just wait for everything to go on sale and buy it then. So for those of you that need a hardcore score and just can't accept a descriptive review, I will go ahead and give you my usual Picard rating. So, on a scale from go on a field trip, they said, Picard, to it'll be fun, they said, Picard, I'm going to give this game get off my bridge, Picard. Hopefully that was very helpful. Most of those Picard ratings are. If you guys haven't already, subscribe to me on Twitch and YouTube. That way you can stay up to date with any new content I'm going to publish. This is Vince. Thanks for watching, and I'll catch you next time.